Hi everybody, how are you doing tonight?
You're asking me?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's been a long day, but it's been good. I've just been working, out walking for a
Yeah, same.
campaign.
Oh, well, for who?
Harry Sidhu for Anaheim Mayor.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting campaign.
Is he the way they do it in Anaheim? It's not like he's a member of the city council and they elect
Well,
a.
so the interesting thing is, yeah, it used to be that it was a rotating mayorship between the city council members. When he was on the city council the last time, that ended back in 2012. Now that he's running again, he is specifically running for mayor. They've completely changed the way that they do
Uh,
mayoral elections in Anaheim. So now
uh,
there are districts, and the city council members are elected to a district, and then the
mhm.
city elects a mayor overall for that seat. So
Okay.
so yeah,
Wait,
he
that's how they do it now, or that's how they did it before?
that is how they do it now. It got changed from a pool, so the entire city originally voted for all of the city council members, and then they rotated who was mayor every single year. Now they do it where it's split up in districts, and your district votes for your city council member. And then the entire city votes for mayor, and that is the current system.
Okay, I
Yeah.
get it.
I think they did something similar in Fullerton recently. It seems to be that as cities get larger, they move towards that sort of a system, just because people start to feel that they're not being represented fairly.
Ah, I see.
Not that I'm commenting on whether or not that's true. I have no idea.
So what's your candidate's name?
Harry Sidhu, he's a Indian immigrant.
I see.
Runs his own business. Just wants to get back into politics to help clean up some of the stuff going on in the city.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Met him a couple days ago. Had a good conversation with him and liked what he had to say.
When did you join the campaign?
Wednesday,
Pretty cool.
so very recently. I'm working with Amanda. She
Oh, nice.
she's on that campaign. So
What's the current mayor situation in Anaheim
um
like?
from my understanding, the current mayor is termed out, so he can no longer run. Um, which is where Harry steps in. So it's completely
All
up for
right.
grabs. Nobody's you know. But yeah, it's been fun. I've been walking 8 hours a day for the last 3 days, so I'm a little zapped from
Mm.
that. But is what it is.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good
Uh,
exercise and making a difference.
oh yeah, I'm losing a ton of weight, down to 208 pounds.
Nice. I'm actually gaining weight.
Eh, that's not so bad for you. You weren't as overweight as I was.
Yeah, well, I have no idea where it's going though. I was like 120 about a year ago,
Is it a
and
is it
now maybe like a year and a half ago. I'm now 150.
120?
Yeah.
Holy crap! I can't even imagine being that small.
Yeah, I don't feel fatter though. That's the thing. I
Yeah,
don't know
you,
where
you
it's
don't
going.
look any fatter. All is it all in your ego? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Hey, as long as you don't look any different, what does it matter?
Yeah.
What like according to your BMI or whatever, is there a weight you should be at?
Yeah, I'm probably in the normal range.
Well, I'm happy to be below obese now. So that was a big accomplishment for me.
Yeah.
So um so it looks like we got at least one thing to talk about today. We got that gubernatorial election going on over in Vermont. They they the Democrats, I'm assuming, right, in Vermont decided to
Yeah.
appoint. Is it appoint?
No,
Eh,
she won the Democratic Party primary.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to determine what the word for that would be. So she won the primary. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes more sense.
yeah.
So she's now the lead of the Democratic Party in Vermont.
She's the right man for the job.
I guess so, and I guess you can say that. I don't know what I can or can't say anymore, to be completely honest.
So yeah, she won. Transgender woman won the Democratic primary in Vermont.
Yep.
She's up against, I think, the incumbent.
Oh, okay. So she's got basically no chance of winning, is what I'm hearing.
I don't know. I don't know what Vermont's deal is.
Well,
Are they? Well, that's where Bernie's from, right?
Is he Vermont or New Hampshire? I can look that up though.
I think it's Vermont.
Bernie Sanders. Vermont, you're right, he is from Vermont. So they are, they'll elect liberals. Well, technically Bernie's an independent, but yeah, my comment earlier was based on the fact that incumbents just have such a huge advantage in those kinds of elections. And then on top of that, people are usually a little wary to elect the first of anything, We've had women running for president since the 60s or 70s, and that still hasn't happened. So, people just don't like to rock the boat, especially if things are going pretty well. I don't know how Vermont's doing, or maple syrup price is pretty good, or is that a New Hampshire thing?
I have no clue.
That might have a bigger effect on the outcome of the election than some of the other things people might think of before. Other than that,
yeah, I wonder what her platform is.
Probably that she's transgendered.
Straightforward, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a transgender vote for me.
So would she
probably be like typical progressive BS?
Yeah. Now, is she allowed to have an opinion on abortion? That's the real key question in this race. Is she allowed to have opinions on women's issues, despite the fact that she doesn't have all the accoutrement that goes with being a woman?
That's actually a good point.
Yeah.
Feminists like to say nobody but women can have an opinion on abortion, but they're assuming that women, or what they consider women, will have the correct parts.
Yeah, see, that's
and they think that transgender women are women. So that's like a whole mishmash of weird logic.
Can I put on a dress and then am I allowed to have an opinion? I'm not sure. It's a serious question. I might have to at some point.
In the near future.
Yeah, if it allows me to have opinions, right? Gotta be allowed to have opinions, and I'll do whatever I can for that. That's like the one thing I care about.
You might have to get a tan also.
Yeah, well, I can work on that. But that's
maybe a wheelchair.
Oh man, yeah, you got to be in a wheelchair before you can talk about what we need to add to the ADA next. Man, I'm just gonna get in a lot of trouble for this episode, aren't I? It's okay. Nobody's watching except Mikey anyway.
Oh, is he watching?
Looks like it.
Do we have comments on?
Yeah, the comments are on. If you wanted to see them, you'd have to go to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The program that I'm using to broadcast this stream to YouTube, it shows up in the chat. Technically, you can see it on your screen, but it's like probably the size of an ant on your phone.
Oh, okay.
But it should be on the right.
Do it on my laptop.
Oh, okay, cool.
Let's see.
Yeah. Did we put out anything on our social media that we were live?
No, I didn't have time to make anything.
Yeah, that's okay. Not a big deal. This isn't our most streamlined stream, so It'll be fun for people to watch in the, later on though.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you feel overall about the Democrats coming up in November? Since we're talking about the gubernatorial race.
Just the Democrats across the nation in general?
Mm-hmm. The whole blue wave and that kind of thing.
Well, I have no insight, but I doubt that the whole Democratic Party platform or lack thereof is a winning formula.
Mm-hmm.
Except in California, I guess. Where I think, obviously, Gavin Newsom's going to win.
Oh yeah, Gavin Newsom's going to trounce Cox, no question. But outside of the traditional areas where Democrats are going to win, Brooklyn, that sort of thing, I just don't see them having a cohesive message. You have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez out there spewing out crazy nonsense that is way farther left than most of the Democrats have been. And then you have, people like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, and who even knows where they're even at anymore. At this point, I don't even know what their platform is. Are they standard Democrats from the 90s? Are they progressive, supporting transgendered, rights and that sort of thing? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the latter.
I think so too, but
I think that they're pandering to a very small minority of America, or even just Democrats. They're pandering to a small group of Democrats who are, social justice progressives.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, and one of the things that Jordan Peterson talks about when he talks about the letters he receives for his comments on the transgendered issue, generally what he notices is that of that small community, that transgender people are about 0.3% of the population. Of that very small community, the ones that do write to him are generally writing and saying, "Look, these social justice warriors don't actually, have our best interests in mind." Because mostly what a transgendered person wants to do is just pass as the gender that they believe that they are. That's their goal. They want to wear a dress, look like a woman, and act like a woman, and be a woman. They don't want to have some zier, they don't want a special gendered pronoun. They don't want 65, different genders. They just want to pass as the opposite of whatever they are.
Yeah.
So who's the actual base? That's the real problem. Who are they actually talking to? And I don't think those people actually exist.
Yeah, you're right.
That's just my feeling. I feel like they are shouting into the wind, and that there's nobody actually on the other end listening to them, at least for the most part.
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong, but
even the transgender community is against social justice, even.
Well, and that's the other thing. Labeling all these different things as communities. I'm sure that there are certain people that want to be part of a transgendered community, and I definitely know that transvestites have a community. Okay, and there is a difference, I guess, between a transvestite and a transgendered person. I would imagine that a transgendered person wants to be part of the female community.
Yeah,
they don't want to be part of a transgendered community. That from what I have seen, and from my experience, which is very limited, I'll admit, they don't actually want to be anything different or separate from just a normal woman. That's their goal. So to speak to them like they are something that isn't a woman or that isn't a man is not the correct way to reach out to that group, and it's not what they're looking for, at least not the real ones. I can't speak to all the other crazy, insane genders that have come out of the woodwork: pansexual, sapiosexual, bisexual, all these crazy other genders that they're deciding to come into existence out of nowhere.
I think those genders are for quote unquote non-binary people.
Mm-hmm.
The transgenders typically use the regular he she
Oh, exactly.
pronouns.
Well, exactly, and that's my point. You know, I feel like transgendered people get lumped in with these groups that believe that there's a billion different genders and you can change them. You know, with every single breath. I feel like those people aren't, you know, really looking out for the best interest of the transgendered community. And I think that most of the transgender community, if you could even really call it that, knows that.
Yeah.
That's just kind of my feeling with all the different stuff that I've seen and researched. And I mean, you know, even within the LGBT community, it isn't one cohesive group. You know, the L's and the G's kind of have a problem.
Yeah. I always like had a problem with why are the T's even, because they have vastly different issues than the L's and the G's.
Well, and the L's and the G's have issues with each other. I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely do have a problem with the L's, but
you know,
but I just found it weird. Like, I think it's just anything that's not straight is just going to be another letter added on.
Yeah,
That's not cisgender straight. It's just going to be another letter.
Well, and I guess the real question for that I want to know, and I really want an answer to this because I don't know, who actually lumped all of these people in together as a similar group. You know, it sounds like something that a sexist or a bigot would have done. Oh yeah, you guys are all just weird queers. You know, just lump them all in together. Who cares? They don't have their own individual, you know, needs and wants and desires. They're all just the same. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a nuanced approach at all. You know, if I'm donating to some LGBT charity, what is that doing? Who are they helping? You know, it's just really confusing to me as someone who just wants to see another human being as another human being.
Yeah.
You know, the labels are kind of unnecessary. I've got white skin. Does that define who I am as a human being? No. You know, other people like, you know, men, does that define who they are as a human being? No, it doesn't. That's their own deal. You know, I just wish we could get to a point where we just treated each other as if we had, you know, an infinite amount of worth just because you're another human being, and that people at all stages of life and development would. So that's where I think me and you get a little bit of a disagreement.
Yeah, so I'm not pro-life. I don't want to say pro-choice, but I'm not pro-life, definitely.
Okay. And, you know, if you want to get into it, we can, but I don't know that you want to go any farther than that, which is fair.
If you want to, sure, we can.
Sure. I don't care. I'll debate that all day long.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So you're not pro-life. Do you believe that as a fetus, it is a human being?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just start with this.
All right, that's fair.
Abortion is murder, and I'm fine with it up until a certain age.
Okay.
Until a certain point in the pregnancy.
Well, I really applaud your honesty. I feel like there's a lot of people in this world that have either deluded themselves or are attempting to pull the wool over other people's eyes when they won't admit that it's just straight murder, which, as we both agree, it clearly is. So we don't even need to...
maybe I shouldn't say murder, because murder is illegal.
Well,
and abortion is not illegal yet. So murder is a legal term. I would say, yeah, abortion is killing a human being.
So murder is both a legal term, but it's also got kind of a colloquial definition. In the legal sense, killing a fetus is not currently viewed as murder. From the definition of murder being killing another human being without cause, or without legal authority to. I think we would both agree that it is murder.
Hmm.
So,
Well, they have legal authority to do it.
you're right. You're right. You're right.
And
Yeah. What is the actual? You know what? I like definitions. I'm going to look up the actual definition of murder. Just to clear everything up. All right, murder: the unlawful, premeditated killing of one human being by another. So I guess it doesn't actually fit the definition because it is lawful, but
Yeah.
it is definitely premeditated killing of a human being. So we both agree to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you believe that it's something that we should allow our citizens to do?
Well, in general, I'm a nihilist. I
Okay.
think there's like no inherent uh, value to a human life,
Okay.
and that life is kind of a burdensome gift to give someone. And I've been reading something many years ago about antinatalism, about how it's better to just never be born than it is to live life. And I'm just sort of playing with that idea in my head, and
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got convinced of it. And that's kind of where I stand.
How could you?
As in the past.
I'm curious. How can you quantify whether or not it's better to be alive or it isn't? Like that. I guess that would be the fundamental question, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so um, there's this interesting graph I saw. It said, so it had, okay, so if you're born, then you have some pain and some pleasure. And if you're not born, then you'll get no pain. Okay, let me start over. So if
Okay.
you're alive, you get some pain, which is bad,
Yeah, I can agree to that.
and then you get some pleasure, which is good.
That gets a little murky on whether or not all pleasure is good, but okay. I'll tentatively agree to that.
Not in a good and evil way, but just
Mm-hmm.
good as in
It's good for you,
enjoyable.
or yeah, it's enjoyable.
Enjoy.
Okay.
And then so you have one good aspect of life and one bad aspect of life. So if you sort of average them, you would get like a 50% or like a middle point between good and bad, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's
Assuming you live like an average life.
That's fair.
Okay, so then if you're not born, then you'll get no pleasure, which is, it's not bad, but um, it's not good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just kind of in between.
Okay.
Let's just say it's not bad.
Okay.
So it's leaning towards good, but
Okay.
not quite the middle point between.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have no pain, which is good.
Okay.
Right? So if you average those across, being uh, not bad plus good is better than good and bad.
Okay. I see the logic. I guess my question to you would be: so if I could prove to you that the fetus feels pain, would that change the calculus?
Well, there's another thing that I think about is will how much of an impact will it make on the people around that fetus, either the fetus and the family and the world. And if it's done early enough, it won't have any.
So
impact.
are you asking whether or not the child being born would have a negative impact on the community that child is in? Or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the community and the immediate family.
In what circumstances is the child having a negative impact? Because I come from the opinion that a child being in existence is a net positive thing. So I'm curious what your
I would disagree with that.
okay.
Well, just because I think that life itself is burdensome.
Okay.
It's a burden.
It burden on
You
who?
didn't ask for it. Like you didn't ask for it, and it's just thrown onto you.
Well, yeah, I understand that point. But we're talking. You said that the part of the calculation as to whether or not a child should be aborted is the burden that it puts on the community.
Not whether.
Okay.
It's not whether it should or should not be aborted. It's just if it does happen, then what will be the impact?
Well, it's something that you should look at. So potentially that could be the tipping point between not aborting it or aborting it. Correct? Because if it is a data point, then at some point, everything else being equal, that will make or break the decision potentially. Correct? Or should we not look at it at all?
No, we should look at it, but also take in other factors.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, like how much comfort can the parents bring to that child's life?
Okay. So, do they, are they living in a hole, beside a bridge like a bunch of trolls, or are they living in a posh mansion in Beverly Hills? That would be a different situation. That would have a different outcome potentially as to whether or not you keep the child.
Yeah, it would be a factor that would be considered.
Okay. Would you also consider the benefit the child would have for the family at the end of the parents' lives? So, at some point, your parents go from being able to take care of themselves to having to be taken care of. And currently a lot of that burden's pushed off onto the state through, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, that sort of thing. Having a child, I would imagine, if they're following the traditional family roles, the child starts taking care of the parent at a certain point. Would that be something that would be added into the calculus?
Well, assuming that the parents are married or, in a committed relationship, then if they were going to abort a baby and they didn't want the baby, then would you want to have parents who didn't want you as their child?
I have a radically different view on life than you do. I am thankful for every second that I get to live. So I can't speak about something that I didn't experience. But I wholeheartedly believe that I would be far better off being in a dysfunctional family where I have the option of rising above that and making something of myself despite the problems that the family has, rather than
the option.
Being dead.
Yeah, you have the option, but it's a fat chance of you actually getting out of that.
I don't know the statistics on that, but I'm not sure that you're necessarily correct.
No, I'm guessing too, but I'm sure it's not. It's a lot harder than if you're born into a loving, caring family.
I would agree that it is definitely a much harder road. But if you actually go talk to, I would imagine if you went and talked to people that had difficult life situations, not all of them, and definitely a lot of them would blame their parents and blame society for their problems. But a good number of them, I think, would tell you that they are who they are, and they're as determined and hardworking and everything else that they are because of the difficult circumstances that they came from. So I'm not going to say that that's a majority of people, because it's probably not, but it is definitely going to be a good number of people. 20-25% is what I would guess. And of course it's like my belief is life is what you make of it, especially here in the United States where we have so many freedoms to do what we want. You know, China might be a little bit different story. You know, I'm not saying that makes abortion okay, but I would understand your position a little bit better in a less free society, if that makes sense.
Okay. So yeah, we live in a free society where you can absolutely make something of yourself, no matter what your situation is. You just can't deny that it's going to be so much harder. And I think if you play the probabilities in your head and you think about, okay, I'm going to have a child, I'm he's I'm I'm not ready to provide for him or her,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say there's a 75% chance. No, let's say there's a 25% chance of him or her actually living a normal or a good life.
Mm-hmm.
So that means 75% chance of it not happening.
Okay.
So would you still have that child knowing that there's a 75% chance of it not happening?
I don't believe that the number is that high, but so
No,
I will go with your
number out there. But.
I'll go with your hypothetical. Yes, I would still have a child. And that's number one. I think that there is value to the human race continuing. I think that the human race has been a net positive on the universe. I think that whether or not you believe in a god or evolution, that the end goal of either one of them is to bring more order into the universe and to stop the chaos that has existed. So this other person will have, even if it's just a 25% chance, they'll have a 25% chance of decreasing the total amount of chaos in the universe, which I think is a net positive. And I think that's part of the reason why human beings exist.
That's if you accept the premise that humans are a net positive.
Exactly. I don't think that you agree with that, but
no. Especially on the universe. In the universe, we don't matter at all.
Not yet, but at some point we might. I think that life is something that spreads and expands. So even if there aren't aliens or extraterrestrial life, we will get out there. Elon Musk is going to get us to Mars, and then, somebody, his great grandkid or somebody of that generation will get us outside of the solar system or something. Yeah.
With protection from the Space Force.
Yeah, which I love the Space Force personally. We can get into that too if we want to transition over to that.
I don't have too strong of an opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just something that worries me is how much it'll cost.
Well,
that's just, I'm not too concerned about it, but
yeah, well, that is definitely a concern. I actually think it'll save us money overall, because right now you have the Air Force that's got this huge black budget that we have no idea what they're doing with it. They're spending $10,000 on a toilet for space, and they're just wasting a bunch of money all over the place. And sorry, I meant $10,000 on a wrench is the saying that I heard back in the 90s from my parents. So we have all these inflated numbers.
That's capitalism for you, Ryan.
Well, no. The reason why they're charging that much for a wrench is because they're spending the other $9,975 on some black budget operation is the theory. So I would imagine that this would actually have to bring to light a lot of the budget that the Air Force is currently spending on space that they've kept in the dark. So we would actually know a little bit more about what's going on. And I think that would actually help a lot of the innovation. It would definitely bring about a lot more public, pressure to do different things and that sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we know what the Army's budget is. We know they just bought, a bunch of tanks. We know that they just bought, a bunch of uniforms for soldiers that don't exist yet. So we can kind of tell, hey, hey, look, they're going to start expanding the army and how many people are in it. I don't like that because I'm a libertarian or a Democrat, so I'm going to vote against the Republicans, because they want to increase and expand the military.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. It brings to light a lot of that stuff. It's also something that I know Russia has. They have their own special Space Force type organization. I don't know specifically what it's called. I believe China has one as well, and it is a war fighting domain that should be treated the same as the land, sea, and air. It is the next place that we're going to be going. We should have.
Is it not against some treaty that we're not allowed to militarize outer space?
So there is a treaty. The problem is the treaty was created back in I believe it's the 60s or 70s. And one of the big problems is they didn't know about a lot of the ways that technology was going to increase over the next 50, 60 years. So I believe that the treaty doesn't include things like particle weapons or lasers. It doesn't include things like projectiles. So the rods of God, I don't believe, are covered under that treaty. And that's significantly more destructive than a lot of the things that are covered under the treaty. So there's actually a lot of things that the Army can do in space. There's also no reason why the Army can't be doing prep work, the new Space Force can't be doing prep work in the off chance that we do go to war. Because if we do go to war, the treaties don't matter, essentially. You know what I mean? If we're going to war and we had a treaty with Russia that we weren't going to put stuff into space, but we're at war, well, the only repercussion from a treaty and breaking a treaty is going to war. So, you know what I'm saying?
Who is that treaty with?
There were a lot of countries that were signatories on it. I'll look that up.
So if we break that treaty, then not only will we have war, but we'll make more enemies.
It depends on who. It's the Outer Space Treaty. It's formally called the Treaty on Principles Governing the Activities of States in the Exploration and Use of Outer Space. Let me see who signed on to that. So it is a lot of the countries, Afghanistan all the way to Zambia. So we got most of the countries are signed on to it. But let's say that we had another World War I or World War II situation where the countries split up into two different camps. You got the Allies and the Axis, which would be the terms we used for World War II. So let's say that happened again, and all of the Allies decided, who cares about the treaty? We're just going to break it. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter that the treaty's being broken if everyone breaks it that you're sided with.
Mm-hmm.
And then who cares about Malta? Let's say that Malta, if they're still neutral, who cares if Malta joins in on the other side? They're not going to do a whole lot compared to my rods from God raining down on their, on their parade.
Yeah. Yeah.
So treaties are vital and they're very important, especially in our current climate. But as soon as something like that, where we're actually going to war in space, breaks out, it won't matter. At least
so let's say we were to drop an H-bomb somewhere.
Okay.
There's no treaty against that, is there?
So that is actually specifically what the treaty is against. So the treaty bars states from placing weapons of mass destruction in Earth orbit. And it defines a weapon of mass destruction as nuclear, radiological, chemical, biological, or other weapon that can kill and bring significant harm to a large number of humans, or cause great harm to human-made structures. But the only ones that it specifically outlines are nuclear, radiological, chemical, and biological.
Is there a treaty against dropping an H-bomb just through the typical means?
I would imagine there probably is, but again, nuclear war breaks out and it doesn't matter. But
Okay, so let's say if we did that, if we dropped an H bomb somewhere, not only would we be at war with that country that we dropped it on, or whoever we dropped it on,
yes,
but the world will be looking at us in a different light, and there might be even more repercussions, not only from the country we attacked, but from their allies, and even our allies who trusted us not to do it.
Yeah, so let's just say hypothetically, everybody's saying this hypothetical, so I'll jump on the bandwagon. Hypothetically, yeah. Trump goes insane, pushes the big red nuclear launch code button, right? Uses the nuclear launch code, pushes the button, and he nukes, Japan, right? Mm-hmm. In that instance, you are 100% correct. The whole world would freak out and probably, at least want to go to war with us, if not actually doing it. In all likelihood, we have contingency plans with countries that are our allies that say, look, we know that technically this is outlawed in the treaty, but if we get to a situation where this needs to happen, we're going to do it, and you're going to back us. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I guarantee you those talks have taken place, and we know the UK, in certain situations, is going to back us, 100%, because they don't have a choice, Mm-hmm. That's my guess is the reality of the situation. But if those discussions don't exist, or if they didn't happen, then you're absolutely right. It would definitely would be the United States poking a hornet's nest, and we would get stung for sure.
Yeah. Interesting how we talked about transgenderism to nuclear war.
Yeah,
I think that's ultimately where transgenderism leads to.
I think so too. Can we really trust her during her time of the month? Oh wait, that's not really a concern. I just that was the least PC thing I could have said at that moment, huh? that's offensive on multiple fronts.
Oh, by the way, I'm kidding about if anyone's listening to this. Transgenderism does not lead to nuclear war.
And I don't hate women whether they have penises or not. So I just want to make that clear.
Right. I'm glad that's out there now.
Oh yeah. No, this is going to be great fodder for anybody wanting to attack me, in some ad against my political. Against some political office that I'm going for in the future.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, how soon are you thinking of doing so?
As soon as the opportunity presents itself. Is that a good enough political answer for that?
No. What's a good political answer? But I want a real answer.
Okay, I would like to do it tomorrow if I could. Do I think that I am in a place where I have the right kind of funding and backers to do it? No. So probably 5 to 10 years would be my goal at the moment.
All right. And is that your ultimate career goal? To see how far you can get in politics?
I'm still debating that. I have a few different concerns with that, and basically from what I've been gathering, there's the group of people that are really passionate about running campaigns and managing campaigns and making sure that the candidate they're working for gets elected. And I don't think that group of people is necessarily the same group of people that actually run for office, So I'm not saying it would be impossible for me to go to the community and say, hey, elect me. I've worked on these campaigns and I'm really passionate about stuff. That is a potential way to go about it, but most of the successful politicians that I've seen have done something else in the community. They they worked for a charity. They started a small business and grew that into something that they can stand on and say, hey, look, I did this in the business world. I want to take the knowledge and those skills from the business world to the public sector, and I want to clean up our community because I know what I'm doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for the yeah.
You do have a small business, don't you?
I've started a few.
Yeah.
I have started a few, and I don't plan on stopping because I really enjoy the problems and the different the different aspects of running a small business as well. And I really want to do what's best and what's right for me and the community at the same time. And I feel like starting a business is one of the things that I can do currently to accomplish those two goals. And
Sounds
I would,
good.
yeah. So it's definitely something that I think about. Do I think I could run for city council, and if I got a little bit of funding, I could make a pretty good run for it? I think so. But we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Where are you thinking of running?
Yorba Linda, where I live.
Oh, okay. I thought you lived in Ontario.
I moved back.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So, that's where I grew up. I really know the community there. I went to school there. I love the schools there. I think that I could be a big help to that community by being elected over there. So,
what high school did you go to?
Valencia High School. It's over in Placentia, California.
Yeah, I know where that is.
Well, there's technically two,
yeah.
so that's why I have to be clear.
It's technically what?
There's two Valencia high schools. There's the one in Placentia that was built first.
Valencia.
Yeah. So we are the Tigers, not the whatever the other guys are.
What are they? I think they're the Vikings.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I guess I can look that up too.
Yeah, I used to be a hardcore high school football fan.
Oh, okay.
I played 1 year, and then yeah.
So they are the Vikings.
Yeah.
Nailed it. So you were a fan of high school football? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I played 1 year, and then.
Oh, you played? What position?
I played the bench basically, but I was going to be a wide receiver.
Oh, okay. Not exactly the best suited position for you, I would imagine.
No, I mean I'm short, but I was fast.
I mean that sounds more like a halfback though. They didn't look at you for that.
I wasn't big enough. I think you probably should have some bulk. If you're
that you can change
running
though.
back.
You can change how bulky you are. It's difficult to change your height.
Yeah, but I only played 1 year. I didn't have time to bulk up that much.
Was there a reason you only played 1 year? Just didn't enjoy it, or?
No, I changed schools.
Oh, okay.
And I just didn't join at my new school. So.
That makes sense.
Actually, I did talk to the coach, and he said I was too small. But
that's rough.
I didn't want to join anyway.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
They're actually a really good team. The new school I went to, but.
Is that the school you ended up graduating from, or?
Yeah.
What school was that?
I'd rather not say.
Okay, that's fine.
I can tell you off air.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. No worries.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm a pretty open book, but that's just me. I don't expect everybody to be.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting kind of tired. We've been doing this for about 50 minutes.
All right.
Ready to end it? I've had a long day.
Sure.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to us for the last 49 minutes and 15 seconds. I hope you all have a great night.
We should plug our social media.
Oh, yes. Thank you. You can follow us. You can go to nowgranted.com. That's our YouTube channel. We have Now Granted on YouTube as well. On Facebook, we are Now Granted, and on Instagram, we are Now Granted Podcast.
Yep.
All right. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.
Good night, everybody.